Who do you expect to win? The 49ers, or who've won 6 in a row, or the Seattle Seahawks, who've lost 3 of 4, including games to Tampa and Las Vegas?
All right, let me just lay this out that the 49ers have only won once in Seattle in the last 10 years. They've only won once in Seattle in the last 10 years.
And if you go back, like, it's twice going back to 2011. And
yeah, 2011.
That game
probably won there.
That game came down to the final play, and the one with Jimmy Garoppolo in 2019 came down to the final play. So if the Niners have blown out Seattle in Seattle, it was like when I was in college or high school or a very, very long time ago.
They don't win convincingly.
No, it's hard.
It's
hard to play up there. It's a Thursday night game. They're tired. They have two defensive tackles. It's tough. Look, they could get worn down. They could get worn down quick.
Oh yeah, they could. That's always on the table. And month ago, okay, entering the bye, this is the game that scared you the most. I had this chalked as an automatic loss for the 49ers. Seattle's rolling. 49ers offense, you can't trust them. They're going to go against Tampa. They might get them. That might be a battle for most of the game. All the points I had laid out why they're going to lose turned upside down. Seattle's leaking oil. They're crumbling harder than a cookie right now. You got the offense actually looking good with Brock Purdy. Is it a coincidence the Niners were able to score 30+ with Brock Purdy in the fold and not Garoppolo? I don't think so. I mean, that's where I'm kind of starting to be a little. I'm sold because the same way I think it's almost a consensus now that Purdy does elevate the offense, and even with him being limited by injury or maybe it's a short week, whatever, I still think they're going to be relatively fine. What's the worst that's going to happen? They go back to the same offense that's barely scoring 17-20 because you know what's not going to be stopped? That defense. That defense is going to be lights out. And you got Kenneth Walker coming off injury. I'm always someone who, like, coming off injury, I'm kind of shorting you to a degree. So I think they're going to be fine. I think it's going to be like a 24-17 matchup. It won't be a full-on blowout or full-on convincing win, but I think the fact that they didn't go into a crazy battle with the Bucs is going to play a lot. I don't think they're too drained or too hurt from that game, and I think ultimately they'll come out the victor. And they'll be NFC West champions if they win this game. So that's huge.
Right.
That's look really good from this one.
The thing with like Seattle is there was a reason why everyone thought they were going to be so bad this offseason. They emptied the cupboard of their roster. The moves they made this offseason were like tanking moves. It wasn't just trading Russell Wilson. That was the right move. But they got rid of Bobby Wagner, who's still great. And they didn't have a replacement. And they can't stop the run. I mean, and it's like they were an interesting story early in the season given that they were tanking. They're like, wow, this team is overperforming. But now they're not overperforming anymore.
They're out of the playoff picture suddenly.
Yeah, they are who we thought they were, and they knew they were overperforming, and their fans knew they were overperforming. So, like, this whole, Seattle crowd, like, they know what that team is. And if the Niners go up 7-0 or 14-0 quick, like they've been doing recently, that stadium is going to be really freaking quiet because they know what that team is. So, 24-17 seems reasonable. Seems reasonable to me. They could keep it close. Like we said, Seattle could keep it close just by running the ball.
If it's 24-17, maybe like Seattle makes like a last-minute touchdown or something like that. But I think ultimately it'll be close. I think maybe the Niners – it could probably start off slow and the Niners pick it up. Then Seattle tries to throw some punches. It's like – I don't know. It's a divisional game. It can't always be a blowout. Unlike Arizona. I mean, Arizona just lays flat. That's a lifeless team, so who cares about them? But
it could Seattle be a blowout again because Seattle's not good. They're not a good team. They're an overperforming, well-coached team, but they can't stop the run. If you can't stop the run against the Niners, good luck, dude. Good freaking luck. Look at Tampa last week. Like, it's like, why did you even fly out here? Give up 200. Yeah, what did you do? You wasted everyone's time. Your own time.
That was a good rushing defense too.
Yes, and that looked like a tired, disheartened team on a short week flying across country. Not to make excuses. I don't know. Seattle at home.
That's a factor that definitely played in. They played it close. They did go almost to overtime. Did they go overtime? No, they went all the way to the end against Seattle on a Monday night. So that was where it was like, the Niners could have the upper hand here because that's going to be a tired team. But yeah,
the Saints. It was an emotional game that they won. They came down to the end and they had they had nothing left. This is going to be the Seahawks are going to be much more emotionally engaged than the Bucs were last week. But still, if the Niners go up early, I mean.
Plus, I think the Niners are going to be locked in. They're going to be locked in. That's because the Seahawks are a divisional game. I think Shanahan's really going to dang out. The NFC West is wide in freaking front of you. Grab it.
Right. Because a lot of times this would be a trap game, right? Like you just came off 2 big wins. It's a short week. The whole world is crowning you and saying you're in the NFC champion. It's you in Philly right now. It's you in Philly. no, you got to prove yourself in a short week against Seattle in Seattle. But the division is at stake. I mean, it shouldn't be too hard to get your team to play with urgency. It really shouldn't. It's Seattle.
No. The coach shouldn't even need to say anything, to be honest. What happens if they lose? What happens if they lose this game? You fumble, you played it. I know. What are you going to say? Oh, short week, prime time. I get it. Quarterback hurt. But it's like
all of a sudden you just gave Seattle life. Now they're back in the playoff picture.
Yeah, now they're back in the playoff mix, and now you got to go up against the Commanders on I guess not a short week. It's a Saturday. It's still a couple days leg up. The Commanders, who the Niners should beat. Honestly, I think the Niners should win out. They should win out the rest of the season, to be honest. Like Seattle, I mean, we already established them. The Commanders, they're solid, but ultimately I think they're going to crack. They'll probably look good for a couple of drives on both sides of the ball and then crack. The Raiders, come on. And the Cardinals, the Cardinals have given up. There's no Kyler Murray.
I feel bad for Kyler Murray. That sucks. That whole football's brutal, and there's a lot of it. Like, guy gets hurt and you feel bad, but at the same time it's like, well, it's what he signed up for. And there's the non-contact injuries. It's like, well, he signed up for that too, but it's so cruel to go your whole life playing this sport and to be good enough to stay healthy and play, not get smacked, and then your knee gives out. That sucks, man. Sucks. Sorry, Kyler.
I think there's always almost signs for that. I wonder if that was the same leg that his hamstring was bummed on, because that's always something. Remember all the time, even Richard Sherman and other players say oh yeah, I felt my calf tightening up or feeling weird, and then my Achilles went out. There's always I feel like little crumb signs.
Precursor, a precursor.
Because precursor. Because you're used to playing I'm tough. I'm trying to get over it. And, no one knows. No one knows. And then it just happens. It just goes.
The thing about, like you said, they could win out. I think they should. I think it's interesting. In the NFC, it's down. You figure there's only 3 or 4 teams that can even compete with the Niners right now.
It's Cowboys, Eagles.
Cowboys, Eagles, maybe
Minnesota. I don't see a third or a fourth. Where do you see a third or a fourth? It's not
maybe Minnesota. I'm saying, I'm not saying that. I think they might be able to compete with the Niners, but they might just get that work too. I don't know. So there's very few teams that can even match up, and it ain't Seattle.
Is it the Giants?
It's not the Giants. It's not Tampa. It's not.
There's no one.
It's not. Now, if the Niners lose to Seattle, you start looking around and be like, damn. Well, they could lose to Washington. They could lose to the freaking Raiders, who beat Seattle. This is an interesting game for the Niners, but I think you remember a month ago we were like, I don't know who this team is. I feel like I know who this team is right now.
With Brock Purdy suddenly.
Yeah, I do. I think they're.
I don't think it's who is this team. We always knew who half the team was. We always knew what the defense was. They've only had one bad game, and who did they go against? One of the greatest coaches of all time and quarterbacks of all time. Great. True. So does everyone have a bad game against them. It was the offense that was always like, who the hell are they? Kyle, figure it out. You got McCaffrey, you got Debo, you got all these players, and it took 2 quarterbacks going down for Brock Purdy to suddenly be like, I know where we are. Just give me the ball. It's crazy. And I was shorted him so badly. I thought this team was going to be cooked going down the line.
But right now, it feels like this is the right quarterback for this team.
It does right now going forward this season. I'm not going past beyond because past beyond.
No, for this season, he's a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's more ready, pro ready right now, I think, than Trey Lance. Although I don't know, one game in a monsoon in 3 years, man, his career.
The feeling for Trey Lance is still better, but I mean, it's looking bad for Lance right now. Now, again, remember what I said last week, and it happened. It happened against the Bucs. The perfect game to create controversy has already happened. Now, if he just keeps it up and keeps winning.
I wonder what a religious guy like Trey Lance makes of his life right now. When he was 19, 20, he's probably thinking, man, I am the most blessed person. I'm this guy who's from this small town, and God has put me in this position, and I've gotten everything I've ever asked for. And now it's like, man, what did I do? I haven't played in 3 years. What is going on? It must be very strange, right? Especially for people who are deeply Christian and feel like everything happens for a reason. It must be, what is going on? I can only imagine. It feels like he's being tested somehow by the football gods, if you believe in that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So weird. So weird. He was the chosen one, and now it's like, wait, Brock's the chosen one? What the hell happened? I thought I was the guy. What happened?
You could have probably correlated to his college career, how Minnesota didn't want him, and then he had to go down to D2 or whatever, to North Dakota, and then it's the same thing. It's like, hey, you started off, you had to wait, then you got hurt, and it's like, all right, now you got to
have a storybook season. You win the national championship, you're undefeated, you're the number 3 pick, but now it's like, man, it's been 3 years, and I haven't played, and I'm hurt, and this guy, whoa, what do I need to do? What happened? Why did all the luck change? I don't know. These are the questions in life you can't answer. You can't answer these questions.
I can't think of a worse start.
Grant, how can Purdy defeat Seattle's defense if they eliminate the left and middle of the field? Got a feeling Carroll will get cute. It's hard to throw.
That's where he threw the whole time.
I want to. Is that what left and middle all time?
He threw left and middle. I think he went 1 for 1 or 2 for 2. The top left corner, because remember that's where it went to Ayuk and McCaffrey, the 20+ yarder, and then there's nothing right. I think 10 yards under. It was everything 5 yards under to the right. It literally looked like a cell phone bar where it went high, then middle, then low.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean, from left to right.
I want to point out that Seattle actually at home has a very good pass defense. They have 2 or 3 good cornerbacks, and their pass rush, I looked it up, at home is their sack percentage is over 9, which is top 4 at home. And that's because first of all, the turf makes them faster. The crowd noise makes them get off the ball faster. They have a good pass rush and they have good corners. So if the Niners can't run the ball, they could lose. They could lose the game. So it's very much, Thursday night game, tired defenses. They got to be able to run the ball, but I'm expecting they will. Seattle can't stop anyone on the ground. They couldn't stop the Niners earlier this year. That's why I think they win.
I think another thing, too, about Purdy is there's going to be more pressure now because it's a road game, prime time, hostile environment, but the NFC West title's right there, and he might be trying to press harder than he should be. I mean, he's done a good job so far, but this is a real test here. This is that's why I say this is what's going to convince me.
If the Niners come out passing, pass first approach, they're going to mess around and find out.
No, don't do that.
Don't do that. The run game is open. Just run the ball. You let Jordan Mason win this game for you. This is a great game. This is the perfect game for Jordan Mason to get 20 carries. You don't need to give 20 carries to Christian McCaffrey to win this game. Give it to Mason. Don't drop back 40 times because you're going to mess around and find out about this Seahawks pass defense. They have a good pass rush at home, and they have good corners. So
yeah,
and they have a good defensive coach too.
Yeah, they do.
They really do.